Hey coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to take a look at some 1968 United States pennies. We're also going to take a look at some of these ones over here on the side for something they call RPM, and that's a grading factor that PCGS and other grading companies use. Let's figure out what that RPM is, but first let's look at the Lincoln penny. So this is a Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1968. The three versions of it. This is the 1968 with no mint mark, that's a Philadelphia. Then there's a 1968 with a D mint mark, and that's a Denver. And we can make that a little bit bigger so you can see for sure it's a D. And then there's a 1968 with a S mint mark, and that is for San Francisco. In 1968 at Philadelphia, the no mint mark coin, they made 1.7 billion. At Denver, the D, they made 2.8, almost 2.9 billion. And at San Francisco, they made 261,311,510. They also made San Francisco Mint proof sets. And that's the famous 1968 proof set with the no S dime. It's a proof set dime from San Francisco, but they forgot to put an S on it. But that's for the dime. What about for the penny? Well, in 1968 at San Francisco, they made 3.95 million of the proof sets. They sold them for $2.10. Now they're worth about $22, mostly because of the silver half dollar that was in there. Remember, the Kennedy half dollar in 1968 was still 40% silver, so we got a few dollars worth of silver adding on to the mint. All right, what do we got here for the penny? Well, in the top it says "In God We Trust." It says Liberty here, 1968. I believe it was in 1969 that they started doing away with these dies, because you can tell that these dies have been used and really worn. You often, or almost always, I guess I should say, have letters that meet the rim in a 1968 penny, and an L that meets the rim over here with Liberty on the side. And that causes some of this denting, and you almost always see a dented L. The 1968, pretty good right here. If we tip it up, we see on this one, there is a V, a D, and a B there. And that's for Victor David Brenner, who engraved these coins. Now, RPM is something that you'll see in PCGS as a grading. And what RPM means is that they took the mint mark, and it didn't punch it right the first time, so they punched it again. So we're going to look through a bunch of coins and see if we can find one. And I honestly don't know if we've got one or not, but remember, you can't look at the San Francisco Mint coin for that because there is no mint mark. So RPM in a Denver coin from 1968 brings the cost of a coin like this, and say this was MS63. An MS63 with a repunched mint mark is probably worth $16 to $20. So, and often you don't get them much above an MS63 because people just don't find them. All right, so that D has not been repunched. This is that kind of messy or cloudy S that they did sometimes, but that's not a repunch either. But let's look through a bunch of the other coins and see what we can find. Nope. And so we're going to look at only D's and S's to see if we can find. This one looks a little bit doubled, and that's something I should talk about, and that is when you have the double die obverse, they're not talking about repunched mint marks because the mint marks are punched at a different time than the rest of the coin is made. They're punched afterwards, after the coin is already done. So this does not count. A repunched mint mark does not count as a DDO. It counts as a repunched mint mark. Nothing there on that D. This S. And even these worn S's, you can tell they're a little bit cloudy in the middle. Nice coloring on that, though. None on that D. We got just a couple more to go. There's a funnier S. So that's an S that's not quite the same as the others. It's got this little bit of stuff in there. And let me see if we can just, sometimes you can just, yeah, look at that. Just wipe it right off. This is kind of an eraser, like a rubber eraser head here. That won't do any damage to the coins. So that's that kind of murky S2 there. This one, we couldn't tell if it was repunched or not. It's been so damaged. And finally on this one, No, but what'll happen is you'll see, usually what you'll see is a trailing line on the back of the D, or maybe a trailing D on the front, because sometimes what happens is they will repunch the mint mark because it didn't punch right, and it'll actually punch in a slightly different section, and that's where you get your repunched mint marks that are of value, because they punched it twice with this mint mark, which is just almost like a pole with a mint mark on the end of it. And you hit the end of the pole and it puts the mint mark on. And when you do the repunched mint mark, let's see if we can find that S again. There we go. When you do the repunched mint mark, if it messes it up, they're supposed to pull them out and you're not supposed to see it. So what's a regular version of these coins? Well, if you can get this S in an MS66 or above, you're talking 5,000. If you can get the Denver at a MS67, you're talking about 2,300. And if you can get an MS67 plus red, and by red it means it's a really reddish coin, you get about $2,900. So these coins are worth a lot of money just in regular shape. The repunched mint mark doesn't add much onto them. The most I've seen for RPM for some of these is about $200, but that's because everything else is beautiful on the coin. So if you're looking for an RPM, you're not going to make big bucks, but you can certainly look through the old coins and find RPMs. And if we ever find one from the 1968, we'll bring it to you and show it to you. All right, have a great day from DC Coin World. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel and leave any comments you might have in the comments section.